Hotel. My name is Christian Mari, and along with Robert Doves, we're the Fremantle Network. And we organise these events each month to deal with things that you care about, and we get really interesting people in the room to talk about it. So tonight is Business in the CBD, Fremantle. What made me think about this was, I see lots and lots of tourists in Fremantle, due to a lot of the work that I do, and they started asking something which they've never asked before. They've started saying, we can only do Fremantle for a day, what should we do, the CBD or South Fremantle? Have you ever heard somebody ask that before? It's now a tale of two cities. Isn't that interesting? So in the future, I'd love to have an event on South Fremantle, but for this evening, I thought the CBD with some of my favourite business owners from Fremantle saying what they envision for the future of the businesses here. So our MC for the night is Chrissy Mouse. So Chrissy was what happens when strategy meets sparkle and decides to run the room. She's the CEO of the Fremantle Chamber of Commerce, the unapologetic voice of business for the eclectic port city. If something bold is happening in Fremantle, chances are she's either behind it or already 3 steps ahead. And that's true. You'll go to her and you think you have a scoop and you think that you're a step ahead and she just embarrasses you. She's like, I know. She's currently doubling down on leadership as chair of Destination Perth, which is a huge job and very impressive, while she's helping shape the future of the visitor economy with a clear agenda to make Perth impossible to ignore. She's a fellow of the Australian Marketing Institute and known as a captivating speaker, sharp strategist, and the kind of leader who can talk governance in the boardroom and then casually steal the headline on the way out. It's good, isn't it? It's very good, it's impressive. Please welcome to the stage a woman who doesn't just talk about leadership, she lives it with intent, impact, and just the right amount of cheek, Chrissy Mouse.
Last time I saw you, I was pronouncing you to man and wife. It's lovely to see you both. And what a night we had. I hope there is no video of the celebrations of that wedding. Welcome everyone to Politics in the Pub. I was standing here 4 years on my first day in this role, and God, I had no idea what I was in for. What a fantastic crew of people. I look around this room and I know most of you. I can't wait, if I don't know you, to meet you tonight. We have 3 people tonight that are going to be pretty real with you, pretty honest. We do it here because it's relaxed, and we hope that you have a chance to actually ask conversations and ask questions that matter. Because if we don't do this, people don't hear us talk. And I am going to do a little plug. Tomorrow, if you're available between 4 and 6 o'clock at the Fremantle Chamber of Commerce, we're doing a conversation about community safety, and we have the City of Fremantle in the room, the CEO there. We have Jared, who's the head of community safety. We have Simone McGurk. We have Avan, our president, who is also talking tonight. And we have, who have I missed? Oh, Superintendent Dean from the WA Police. And this is the first time that all these people, Avan and I, have managed to get them all in the same room tomorrow. So if you're available, we would love to have you. Just jump online. But tonight is about you. It's pretty apt that we're in the local hotel because we're going to talk about local business, local dealings, and we're actually going to pretty much take off the filter, I've been told, which is always good. If you have a question tonight, I want you to think about it in your head because we're only as strong as the questions that we ask as well. So if you do want to stand up and ask a question tonight, it's not an opportunity to stand up and pontificate, but that's always fun to listen to. But yeah, you can be as real as you want tonight. You're not standing at a council meeting. You can say exactly what you want, being respectful, but I think that that's what we need to do more of. So thank you, Christian, for having me. And thank you to the Fremantle Network. Thank you for putting on these events because they do matter. And the people that I see around me have made my last 4 years the most incredible 4 years of my life. So thank you. Right, tonight we're zooming right on in of the heart of Fremantle, the future of business in Fremantle CBD. What a topic. Sometimes when I have this topic in the chamber, it gets quite heated, and I can only imagine tonight that it will as well. How exciting. Ooh, ready, bring it on. Let's think about these things. How are our businesses doing right now? I also, within the chamber, run the exports department within there, and I can tell you right now that some of our export businesses are 80% down for last month. I can also tell you that a lot of them have ships just floating out at sea right now. I can also tell you that I've had 2 that have gone bankrupt. So tonight, when we have this conversation, I think it's really important that we really recognise how hard it is for local businesses, not just because of the world economy and the New World Order or whatever you want to call it, the Middle East, but because the economic wins are here and they get to Fremantle and they get here fast. And I'm changing the whole business model where, we're putting together 2 budgets for the Chamber because we don't know what's going to go on. And I think it's really important. I think people who are running a business now are very brave, and you'll hear from a friend, but also an incredible local Fremantle woman and councillor, North Ward, right? No, I got it right, tonight, who's been in business and a 4th generation Fremantle woman. But I think it's important to know right now, and I've gone through COVID and I know you all did too, I did it in Melbourne at Chapel Street. I think now, what I'm seeing economically is as bad as that. And I don't say that lightly because I would never want to go back there. So just thought I'd start by saying that, and that kind of sets the scene. What are the challenges that they're facing beyond everything else in the world? And what opportunities are right in front of us? And tonight we'll hear from Sarah Booth. She has just finished her Churchill Fellowship, if I can get it out. Feels like it's a Friday, I'm just I should have had a wine. And so what we're going to do is actually think a bit bigger. Yet we're always in Freo, right? We think a lot Fremantle. I live, breathe it. But tonight we're going to look at some case studies from around the room and see if we can bring them into Fremantle. And let's get it done. Let's see the ideas, like them, and then let's get some shit done. And then my favourite, which is what makes Fremantle stand out. So before I go on, I'm gonna cut straight into you, Sarah, because I could talk all night. And of course, if you want to ask any more questions about the Chamber, to Ivana or I, we're here. If you're not a member, we'd love to have you as a member. But I think tonight, it's the most important thing to have a real conversation. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to this woman now. I got her bio, so settle in. It's quite impressive, way more impressive than mine. Sarah Booth. She was the 2024 Community Citizen of the Year. How good is that? My mum would have voted for me like 10 times, and I still didn't win. She's a Churchill Fellow, like I mentioned. She's a Director of the Urban Renewal Organisation at Space Market. She's the Secretary of the Fremantle Culture Council, and she's also the Community Development Lead within Human Urban and the Fini Group. She went to Europe as part of her Churchill Fellowship, and Sarah's recently released the result, and we're going to hear about that tonight. It is called Finding Solutions to Commercial Vacancies and Reimagining Life in Our Cities, and that's what we're here to do. And if anyone's going to lead the way, we're going to make sure that it is Fremantle and Perth. So please put your hands together for Sarah Booth.
Thanks, Chrissy. That was really lovely. And hi to everyone tonight. So I've actually prepared something because speaking off the cuff is a gift that I am not yet ready to approach fully. So I had to write it down. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing all your thoughts on this tonight. I see around the room tonight people who are really contributing so much to Fremantle. And we really need to work out how to start working together to get where we need to go. So, as Chrissy said, my name is Sarah Booth. I run Space Market, and I try to do everything I can every day to make Central Fremantle a place where businesses can thrive. The kind of businesses that make good cities great. And we are a city of truly great businesses, excellent independent retail and hospitality that set us apart from the Westfields and the shopping centres. It gives us our edge. It's what makes people want to live here, and it's what draws people into our town. Independent businesses and creativity are Fremantle's treasure, and they should be protected like treasure. I'm not going to go into all the challenges facing Fremantle today because you only need a set of eyes and a heartbeat to see what's going wrong. But I do want to flag residential density is desperately needed, and that's not just planning scheme reform, it's incentives. The good news is that I know there are a huge number of new businesses wanting to join our cohort every day. Don't let the vacant shops fool you. I know this because every time I put up a piazza opportunity on Instagram, I get at least 24 responses. I get contacted by retail, hospitality, arts organisations, galleries, green tech, blue tech, schools. There is a queue of people wanting to be here doing business in our town. But is our town ready to do business? Are we ready to support businesses the way they need to be supported to thrive? I would say we're not doing a very good job. Businesses are surviving in spite of the state of our centre. I just travelled around Europe and the UK studying healthy cities for ideas to bring home to revitalise our town, to take it off life support so you don't have to see your favourite business or arts org or record store struggle, crawl and then close. And here are some of the things I believe we can do to ensure the future of business in Fremantle is bright. So I'm just going to skip through some ideas that I've got and I look forward to hearing your thoughts back on them. So I think we should start sinking the car parks below ground. I know the water level. So do it further up the hill. Freo's strength is that it's walkable, and like every great city in the world, it needs to be bikeable. Currently, in our tiny city with excellent weather, 80% of our residents are car dependent for travel. This must change because cars do not make a city attractive. And if Paris can do it, our tiny little city certainly can too. We need streets that are strollable. We need people to be able to cycle safely, and we need excellent public transport like cat buses and trams. Secondly, we need to make our city beautiful. And that means flowers, trees, shade and seating. Not as lines on a maintenance budget, but as things that make people feel something. Every weekend, I take photos of the amount of rubbish blowing around the centre. We need street sweepers, like these ones. Like a theme park, you know, because essentially the central city is a theme park, and when it's open, we need people there tending to it every hour of the day. And they need to be wearing shirts that say information on their back. We also have all these beautiful buildings, many that are locked up and left to dereliction. But the time has come to deal with vacancy. How can a business be expected to thrive when the property next door is filthy and empty and sad? We need to let some of our worst and longest offending owners know that the time is up on holding our city hostage. And luckily, those discussions are well underway with the City of Fremantle and the Mayor, but not just in Fremantle, in activity centres across Perth. Please use your voice to let your elected and local members know you want action on this issue. And also action on the properties that we as ratepayers and taxpayers own, of which the city and state have a few sitting vacant right in our centre. Something I saw in Paris, the City of Paris owns 20% of all retail holdings across the city, and which I would like to see the City of Fremantle extend its reach on, is the strategic purchasing of key retail sites throughout our centre to preserve the culture of our town. We currently do it best at New Edition, Paperbird, Record Finder and Japinka, even though I would like to see residents living atop all of these sites. But I would suggest the city sell off some of its underperforming or unmanageable assets and begin purchasing on the strip and then subsidising in the best local businesses we can attract. The city should not and does not need to act like the market, because we've got the market for that. Further to that, incubation is key. If it's hard to run a small business in 2026, it's even harder to start one. People like Bronwyn Owen at Piazza, who allow activation at heavily subsidised rates so that young entrepreneurs and businesses can get a foot in the door, need to be incentivised. We should be looking for the next many 6160, which was one of the most formative activations in our town for generating new business into the local market. And lastly, our port. I went to the port a few months ago with 3 incredible potential commercial business tenants, all wanting 1,000 to 2,000 square metres. All would drive foot traffic into our town. Before that, Kate and I went to ask if we could start a huge co-working hub atop the E-shed in the thousands of square metres vacant up there. For both, I was told, no thanks. The focus was on B-shed right now. Having seen how Copenhagen and Amsterdam and Lisbon activate their working ports with food, creativity, commercial business and residential, I think the port is a huge missed opportunity. Essentially, it's an enormous car park where we should have markets, cultural centres, hell, even a conference centre. It's right on the water, it eats our whole river waterfront, and I just think it has the potential to be contributing much more to our city. Anyway, that's just a few of my ideas. Bring on the next speaker.
So good, thank you so much, Sarah. And I have to agree, if you take a look at Vic Quay, all that land, you just have to dream about what you'd have there and think, my God, that's just our potential right on our back door. And I love the idea, Sarah, of people with the information shirts on. Yeah, Victoria Quay, God, I'm so glad you brought that up, because in terms of all that space there, all I see is opportunity. So thank you. Put your hands together for Sarah Booth. Thank you very, very much. Next, we're going to a man who I talk to and work with every single day. His name is Dzeba. He is my mentor. He is the chair of the Fremantle Chamber of Commerce, and he's also a life member of the Fremantle Chamber of Commerce. But most importantly, he's also the owner and director of Benny's. We've all had a night at Benny's that some can talk about, some can't. When I first got back here from Melbourne, I'm a Perth girl, and I was away for a while, came back. I had a massive night at Benny's, and it will be a night that I never talk about. It's just as I had a nice big night at Benny's. Avan has been an incredible contributor to the community. He is the person that I go to when I need advice about the sector. He's also the man that I go to when I need to weigh up things. So you can imagine how many phone calls I get every day from people wanting this and that and saying this is crap and this is, do something about this, and he's the one that I call to say, help me work through this situation. So you're in for a treat. Put your hands together for Avan Dzeba. Can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Year Dzeba, as I've been introduced, and I'm the owner of Benny's Bar and Café in Fremantle, and have been there for 26 years now. So I have seen Fremantle ups and downs, and where we've done the bottom of the in the gutter of 2015, 2016, and slowly getting back up there, and now where we are at the moment. I'm also the chair of the Fremantle Chamber of Commerce, which I'm very proud of the work and things we're doing there. Just to give a bit of a background on my past as well, before Benny's, I worked at Rossini's Café in Fremantle, which lots of you probably would have been there. That was 98, 99. Designers as well, so I know Fremantle inside out of how it actually works and the soul of it. I'd like to thank Christian for inviting me on this engaging topic. Really exciting, first time I'm speaking at the Fremantle Network, so let's get into it. We're all seeing the commentary from some that Fremantle is struggling. Yes, the business is tough, but it's not the worst we've seen, and that's my opinion. Lots of people say it's not like the old days. It's not like the days of the America's Cup. What we need to accept is that America's Cup was 40 years ago. I wasn't here. I have no idea what it looked like. But Fremantle's pretty good to me at the moment. Back then, I guess it was much better. But we need to look for the future and see how we can fix things that are here in front of us. Just like every city, we have the issues. And I like to take the pragmatic approach to everything I do in life. So I just trying to keep it simple. So let's look at the low-hanging fruit and how we can fix these issues without overcomplicating things. First issue that we always struggle with is the foot traffic in Fremantle. sometimes you drive past South Freo and Friday afternoons, local is full of people. South Beach Hotel is full of people. Percy Flint is full. Then you go drive to South Terrace, there's quite a few people there. You turn left on West End, there's nobody there, it's deserted. So what we have is not foot traffic issue, is the distribution issue. How do we get these people to find their way to West End, to all those little cool bars and niche cafes, to get them to know that they're there? So how do we do that? We need better wayfinding, we need better street design, walking corridors, better bicycle paths, perhaps even a few more parking spots for people that actually can't ride bicycles into town that are coming from other suburbs with families that need to park somewhere. At the moment, we are losing car parks day by day. Don't get me wrong, I am all for walkable city and bicycles. However, we need to cater for everyone in our city. The other issue that we need to deal with is how to make the city more appealing. So make it clean, make it welcoming. And I'd like to use an example. Quite a few things I want to talk about, Sarah actually mentioned, which when she was talking, I was like, wow, Sarah, you've taken my thunder here. But example of, this is all right, great minds think alike. Piazza, that Sarah was mentioning. When I first met Bronwyn a few months ago, she took me for a walk, the current owner of the Piazza, and she asked me, what do you think we should do here? And my honest first opinion was, Bronwyn, just clean it up. Just hose it down, scrub it down, put some cool lights, and I think people will come. And I was just telling Sarah before, last weekend was the first weekend that, even though I'm Fremantle every day, I took my son, who is 9 years old, we actually walked through the Piazza. And I thought this is pretty cool. There's actually a bookshop and there was a magazine shop and a little quirky place there. And I was honest with Sarah, I said I was never going to buy a magazine, but I went inside and I thought, this is pretty cool. It was clean, it was welcoming. It actually made a connection between the South Terrace, Perry Troy Mall, and the World Up Court, which is then another issue to deal with. But that's what we're missing, that wayfinding the connectors, the natural connectors, just organically growing without any artificial input. We don't have to make different areas, different zones. We just need to organically grow our city. The same connection we need to build is with South Freo. So I'm going to touch on that a little bit later, how I think I see the entire city, not just South Freo and Freo CBD. I think they are one. The other issue that we see in Freo quite often is the perception factor. So quite often, perception matters more than reality. Because if people perceive that the place is dirty and clean and unsafe, guess what? They're not going to come. Doesn't matter how many great operators you have, doesn't matter how many great venues you have, perception sinks in, becomes a reality, and they will just not come. So, low-hanging fruit here is let's get back to basics. Let's get the basics right. City needs to get the basics right. We need to fix the potholes on South Terrace. We need to clean the streets. We need to improve the lighting. Have the community safety walk around with that fluoro sign saying, ask me a question, community safety. Just be present and have the perception that we are a safe city. The other point that Sarah touched on as well is the population density. We need more people living in the city CBD. That population, the intensity, brings a stability to existing businesses. The businesses, the bakery, the butcher shop, the grocery shop. People living there will go shop there. People from outer suburbs, it's unlikely they will drive into Fremantle to buy a bread or milk. So we need to activate those upper floors. And let's look at some examples. And once again, you touched on Paris, you know. And I've been lucky enough, because I come from Croatia, you can hear from my accent. I've traveled Europe many times over, and from places like Vienna, Paris, Rome, Zagreb, Split. You walk through those cities, and at night time, you walk through the city, you look up, what do you see? Amazing building. But the other thing you see is the light in the window. And that light is mum cooking dinner, a kid doing homework. They're actually going to be downstairs, they're going to be playing on the streets. In Fremantle, we don't have that. We need to activate those upper stories and get people to live. And there's plenty of upper stories, and I know some property owners are here. no one lives in those areas. We need to cut the red tape and allow people to develop and move in. Now, I know my time is running out, so 2 minutes, perfect. Something Christian touched on is South Fremantle and CBD, and how do we distinguish between one and the other, and when people say, what should I visit? It's one. We don't need to distinguish between South Fremantle and Fremantle. It is one. And think of going to, I've been a few times to Paris. You fly into Paris, get a plane, fly in. What do? You might end up in Saint-Germain, have a coffee, have a lunch. Then you walk through quirky cafes, go check out the bakery, fine dining, galleries, everything else. Then take a 30-minute walk up the river or a boulevard, you're next to Eiffel Tower. You're on Champs-Élysées drinking overpriced coffee. Sounds like Freo, doesn't it? Going from here to overpriced coffee on South Terrace. So we just need to be one. We need to get a connection between South Fremantle and Fremantle. We're not separate pieces. We're just different chapters of the same book, same story being told. So when people come to Freo, they will leave and say, we have visited Freo. Well, thank you. The different moods, different experiences, yet one. So the key is consistency and doing it right. So let's not clean the street only once and do it and plant this tree only once and take a photo and put it on social media. That's great. We need to be consistent at what we're doing. Keep the streets clean every day, and people will come in and say, wow, there's a difference. Any questions later on? Please feel free.
That was so good, thank you, Ivan. And how, a common thread between the two is, and I always say this to Mel, great that Mel's here as well, Councillor, but I'd really like to see, and certainly the Chamber of Commerce would like to see the City of Fremantle get back to basics. Let's get that cleaning right. Let's get the streets done properly. Let's fill potholes. Let's actually get the basics done right first, and then let's build on that. And we really need to get back to that. So thank you for bringing that up, and I know, Sarah, you also talk about that. I will add one thing onto you, Wallyup Court. I walk from the Chamber in West End Freo to my house, which is just across the road from the St Patrick's Primary School every day, and I walk through Wallyup Court. And I think it's really important for our staff and our businesses that we clean up Wallyup Court. And I don't have the answers. Some of us might have some suggestions, but we need to do something about that, because as I walk through there every day, I feel unsafe, and at night I know Ivan has been pushing very hard for more lighting. Here's a simple thing that we could do, more lighting, clean it up, and walking through that Wallyup Court would feel a lot safer for all of us. And again, that comes back to perception, doesn't it? So if we just got that cleaned up, we'd all take a big step forward. And it just baffles me, because they're just there. The City of Fremantle were just sitting there and they're looking at it all day, and I think, what are you looking at? Because, let's focus on this. Thank you, Sarah, thank you, Ivan. I now would like to introduce you to Dhruv. Did I say it right? Dhruv Grover. He's from the Lucky Elephant in the High Street Mall. He's bringing a thoughtful and design-led perspective to how Freo evolves without losing its soul. And I think that that's most important. In every conversation we have, we are proud of our soul, we're distinctly different, and I know that you're such an incredible asset to us here in Fremantle. Take it away.
Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to start off by saying how Sarah and Ivan has touched these very important points about how we can bring Fremantle the way it was back in the days, or how to go forward by putting extra efforts in understanding what connects the city as a collective community. Yeah, is that better? Thanks. Fremantle isn't just a place that I'm part of. It's something that I live and breathe every single day. I'm Dhruv Grover. My family and I have been a part of Fremantle for nearly 15 years through our store, Lucky Elephant, which we established in those weekday markets, which was held in front of Town Hall, which was once upon a time called Mad Hatter markets, and then slowly we established ourselves in the markets with 12 years. And now we have this lovely showroom on High Street Mall, which we take pride in. So over time, we've grown into something which people often also describe as a little India of Fremantle, which is something which you brought in, the cultural perspective, the colors that Fremantle lacks when it comes to different variety of different ethnicity groups. So design also has been my profession, but working alongside my family, growing the store it's my passion. It's always been something I genuinely love. It's given me a really grounded perspective, not just as a designer, but someone who's living in Fremantle every day, talking to people. I meet over 100 of people coming through from different suburbs, different places. So I get to talk to them, what they want to see in Fremantle, what's missing, what's not missing. But when people visit Fremantle, the question is always the same. Like we said, where do we begin? Should we go to, and I get tourism coming through cruise ships, and they ask, where should I start? Should I go to the Roundhouse? Should I go to the prison? Should I go to South Beach, or South Terrace, or through the Cappuccino strip? There's so much to do in Fremantle. But I think the bigger question is for us today is what gives people a reason to stay, and more importantly, to come back. Fremantle already has so much for going for it. We have history, we have tourism, and most importantly, we have local businesses that have shown incredible resilience. Many of us have survived COVID, rising costs, ongoing challenges. But in many ways, we've been surviving individually, not growing collectively. What I feel Fremantle is currently lacking is its consistent energy and connection, especially beyond daytime hours. This is where we feel unsafe to walk through places where there's no lights, as I said around, there's no activations. This is what I want to see. There's an opportunity here to bring businesses together, not as separate operators, but as a united experience. For me, culture is the anchor. Fremantle is naturally diverse, creative, and we can lean into that through cultural and festival, shared events that could bring different festivities from different groups of people. For example, imagine a rotating calendar that celebrates Diwali for bringing up lights in the streets. Asian night markets, I think it's like the Malaysian cuisine, Pasar Malam, which happens once a year, which could bring different groups and ethnics around Perth. So there's an opportunity here brings businesses together, right? So again, maybe a food fair, a musical event, all the local artisans can showcase all these different things that they bring from different parts of the world to Fremantle. Okay, so most importantly, I think Fremantle needs one signature experience, which is what I propose. Something that people can recognize every year and they want to come back to. Something like Frio Nights, or call it the Festival of Cultures, that brings people together. Imagine a multi-day event where the entire CBD comes alive with food, with music, with art, late night trading. Each street or Princeton, like the West End, could represent a different culture or a different theme, encouraging people to move through Fremantle, explore and connect. So there's no division between South End, West End or the CBD. Not only that would celebrate diversity, it spreads energy across the whole CBD, supports local businesses and creates a shared identity for Fremantle. We also need to think seriously about the night economy. Simple ideas like night markets, as I said earlier, late night tradings, live activation, that could just shift the atmosphere. And this is the question, what gives a people the reason to be here at 7 p.m., not just at 11 in the morning. And that reason is about festivities, I feel. That's what equates in my mind, how we can create those different avenues, different events that brings people in Fremantle. But tourism will always come through Freo. Thank you, Christian. But locals are the heartbeat. I feel this is what we need. We don't, sometimes I live in Fremantle and I need all the reasons to get out of Fremantle. So what brings locals in a consistency? If you can create a variety, a sense of belonging, which can keep people coming back, not just once, but regularly. Just wanted to close by saying that at the end of the day, it's just not about attracting people. It's about creating a reason for them to return, connect, and feel part of Fremantle. So maybe the real question we should all be asking is, what can we build together that makes Fremantle not just a place to visit, but a place people don't want to leave?
That was so beautiful. I could have listened to you forever. I've got some good news, and I won't say too much, but I can tell you that we're about to launch 2 new big festivals this year in Fremantle. 2 new ones that we've never seen before. They're coming out of the Fremantle Chamber of Commerce and being driven out of our tourism committee. And yeah, they're along the lines of what you're saying. And
I'd be the active part.
absolutely, you'll be the #1 ticket holder to vote. So, the last but not least, here she is in the middle. Come on up here, come on up here. A woman who I think everyone knows. She's unmistakably Freo. She is there when I call. She always picks up the phone. She understands exactly what we need. And I believe if someone's going to do it and someone's in the house to help us, it's this lovely lady. If you don't know her, she is the owner of Reimagining, an incredible store. If you haven't been there, make sure you get there. She's also just been elected. Well, I can't even say just anymore. It's been 6 months in the job, so we can now say, what are they doing? You've been doing lots. You've been absolutely everywhere. I'd like to introduce you to one of our councillors, and tonight every other councillor had a meeting and Mel came. It's the power of you, Christian. So she could listen to every single person in this room, and I kind of look around this room and every single person here actually bands together and helps and is part of the solution, and I know that you're leading that. So thank you for being there for all of us, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Thanks, Lucy. Thanks everyone for coming and wanting to talk about the future, especially at a time when the world is a little upside down and you wonder what the future can look like. I think that we have faced a lot of challenges and we can continue to thrive. But first we need to get some things into order. And just before I do speak, I need to mention that I'm not here tonight as a councillor. I am not allowed to speak publicly as a councillor. That is not my role. But I am allowed to speak as a business owner and resident and all of the above. So I just wanted you to know that tonight, Harold. Thank you. So I took a different turn again, and I'm going to approach from a different way because I want to speak about Fremantle as my business utopia. So you're not necessarily driving into town because you don't have to worry about parking because you're going to jump on a cat bus. One of the 3 cat buses that the state government has provided. I'm going big early.
Yes,
the state government has fully funded, like they did for Scarborough, and they not only cover South Fremantle, they cover the Eastern Drive, and they cover right through to North Freo. And if you haven't done that, you've ridden in on your bike, and when you got to town, you went to the bike valet, and you dropped your bike off and off you go and leave your helmet in the locker and all those sorts of things, and you go and do your whatever it is you're in town to do. Where you walk, it's clean. It's clean, the pavements are clean, and you feel safe. I mean, I honestly feel really safe in Fremantle, whether I'm here day or night, but I have been here for the vast majority of my life. Many people have not, so they're not as familiar with our streets and what goes on in our streets. And perception, as mentioned earlier, is absolutely everything, but so is reality too. So no one's screaming randomly, and there's not crap everywhere down the malls or in the park. You need the loo. They're in walking distance. Gee, there's a few to choose from, and they're self-cleaning ones, and you can easily go and use them. You don't have to pay to play to be able to use one. You don't have to go to a cafe and buy a coffee to be able to go to the toilet. And likewise, you get to sit down in the green mall that's been depaved or in an area that has planters because you just want to take a rest, or more likely you're running to someone you know and love and you haven't seen them for a while and you want to catch up with them. What a concept. I know, it's completely radical. Our existing buildings are really well kept. They're well kept, they're clean, the windows are clean, and they're tenanted with legitimate businesses, not con stores, coming soon. The commercial building owners who own them, if the building is empty, they have absolutely no financial benefit for leaving that building empty, like they do at the moment. And if it is empty, they actually have to pay more in their rates. And every year that they leave it empty, they have to pay a higher level of rate. And it just incrementally keeps pushing it up. If it is empty and they can't lease it because they're not realistic on the rent that they want, then they do have the opportunity to loan it to an arts organisation or to a start-up business, and they could do that in 12 months if they wanted to, and those people can just pay the outgoings, which would be the ideal. We can't accept the financial deficit that these buildings bring to our town anymore. It's just not acceptable, and there are whole streets that suffer from that, and businesses that I don't know how. I mean, we've been open 24 years this year in October. So I'm coming from a place where I've done this for a long time, and we have seen a lot of things happen in this town, and we've faced a lot of challenges. I say we, my husband Joe, who's turned up from volunteering at the street kitchen tonight, where I normally am with him. But we can't have these deficits anymore when we're bringing in great businesses and people want to give it a go. They should be given every chance to succeed, because a lot of people want to take the leap, and it's a big thing to do for yourself financially. It's a big thing to do if you've got a family, and you should be able to do that with full support. Fremantle is known as a town where people can do that, but we can do it better, far better. So let's talk about the absolute beginners. These are the peewees. These are the what my son, my 19-year-old, would call the noobs. They're new to it. We are so lucky to have Bronwyn opening up Piazza, to purchase that and to do what she's doing down there. She is like my dream come true right now for retail. I cannot love her enough. I've only met her once briefly, but I'm sure I'm going to see a lot more of her. Our markets should also be that. The Fremantle Farmers Market does that. The Fremantle markets should be that. The people, it used to, yes. The people who take the leap should be supported. They can be aligned with the TAFE business course. When we first started, Joe went to the Council of Education and he did a course on running a business, because we'd never done that before. And when you came out of that business, the course that you undertook gave you your entire business plan. So if you had to go and borrow money at the bank because you got a great idea, you had that. It's all written and it's all created there. Give them a mentor. Imagine hooking up Kate Hewlett, who had Kate and Abel, with Cowboy Karaoke when they first opened. And helping, and she could answer any questions, you know, just giving someone a touch point. Sorry, Christian, I wrote a lot of notes. No. We need out-of-hours play dates with other newbies so they can talk, they can listen to each other, they can learn, and they can realise they're not the only one who's going through something. They need that. They need to know that they're not alone, and then they need to create that network of people. There's a lot of fellow business owners in the room here tonight that I know from around the streets, and it's only because we've been around so long and we run into each other and we've faced a lot of things together, so that's really good. Then you've got the Been There Doing That crew. They're the 5+ years people, so anyone who's successfully managed to keep their doors open for 5 years, you're more likely to survive going forward. If you don't make that 5-year gap, that's when you're most likely to fail before that. I think state government's in a position, we're in a very wealthy state, and the state government is in a position where they could introduce low interest, low deposit loans for business owners. It's really hard to save a deposit as a business owner to buy your own building. They could offer that. It's traditionally very high deposits to buy into commercial. So I think that would enable established businesses to then manage their biggest cost, which is the rents. And they fluctuate and they change and they provide instability, because if the owner just decides to make change, you've got to suddenly move. And to move a business is a big thing, especially if you're in hospitality or something like that. You could also do it as a Nightingale for type of arrangement. I don't know if anyone's aware of how Nightingale works for residential, but these are managed value properties. So they're designed for nurses and teachers and things like that. So when you move in, they're a bit lower, less lower than the market price. And if you want to sell out, you have to sell to another person who's going to be within that lower, not such high earnings. So you could have a commercial version of that. You can live, it's like a rent to buy, but when you want to sell out of it, because you're not going to have your business anymore one day and maybe retire, you've got to sell it to another business. Another business has to move in, and it's all reasonable for everybody. Nobody's going to lose from that arrangement. For the big fellas, so they're the chain stores. We do need some. Target we have, thank you, I'm finishing, promise. We need to work with our mall building owners. We need to enact a retail hit squad, and we need to go out and we need to target businesses who are aligned with us as a community. I'm a big believer that here in Fremantle we're Quimbies, quality in our backyard, and Quimbies. And we need to target the ethically aligned businesses that are socially, ethically aligned with us, environmentally aligned with us. They exist, and they're usually certified as B Corp certification businesses. And there's some great businesses that I know would do really well in our mall. And that helps to bring people, because rather than doing chains, which you can find out at Garbage City, we've got the quality here, and it's a point of differentiation. Finally, I did right, but wait, there's more. Another big thing could be that the state government offers a safety net. So businesses go through, we opened during a recession. We thought it couldn't get any worse than that. And you go through a few recessions, and then COVID comes, and now we're building a bridge. And now there's another war coming. So it's one thing after another. But when the government comes to town and wants to put pipes in the ground and close the street down, or it wants to build a bridge and shut down North Fremantle, there should be a financial safety net for all of the businesses there. So when they can prove that year on they have taken a big dive and they are hurting and they are otherwise normally sustainable businesses, they can immediately put in and say, here's our accountant's numbers for you, all signed off, give me the check. Keep them open just for that short period of time. It really wouldn't cost the government very much at all. It's all achievable. Some of it's state government, some of it's our city, but most of all it's our attitude into what we want in the city. And if you love local business, you must support them, because it doesn't take a lot to keep them open, but they do rely on you. Thanks for coming tonight.
Four awesome speakers. Just stay up with me for a second. Make no mistake, as a leader, whether you're here as a business owner or as a councillor, you have been elected in North Ward, and people want to hear from you, and we should hear more from you, because even for those who haven't heard Mel speak, it's just incredible to hear you. and everything that, you know, I've been saying for years, Sarah's been saying for years, Yvonne's been saying for years. It's good to have you here. And whether you're allowed to speak as a councillor, you absolutely are, because you're elected. And the people who elected you want to hear you speak, and you spoke beautifully tonight, so thank you so much. Right, we're going to take a 10-minute break. I'm going to put some food into my mouth, I'm starving. Then we're going to come back and we're going to get everyone up the front here, and we're going to ask some questions. And I would love it if you want to ask a question tonight. Make sure you come with a solution, and make sure we're obviously not throwing pitchforks all over the place. But I know pretty much everyone in this room, and I think it's an incredible crowd, and I think even just hearing the 4 speakers tonight, I'm pretty clear that we're all on the same page, to be honest. So yeah, it truly, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit that could be sorted pretty quickly. So 10 minutes, come on back, we're going to answer some questions, and then we'll let you go home and get into your jammies. So we'll see you back here in 10 minutes.